Welcome to the Rogue Matterport 101 training. We will cover camera inventory, setup, and best practices to run scans.
Open the flight case by squeezing the red latches. Begin inventorying items inside. 1 tripod quick release adapter. 2 door stops. 1 charger and cable. 2 batteries. A user guide packet. And some international travel adapters. In the center is the camera case with a lens cloth below. Inside the camera case is the camera itself with a magnetic lens cap installed. Separately packed are the tripod stand and tripod dolly. Ensure everything is present and in good condition. To set up the camera, begin by opening the tripod dolly. Legs will snap into place. Then open the tripod stand and extend all 3 legs completely and secure the latches. The feet of the tripod slip into rubber mounts on the dolly base. Then secure the feet by turning the thumb screws until they're finger tight. Now add the quick release adapter by screwing it onto the top of the tripod stand. Remove the camera from the case and carefully insert a battery. The battery should click into place. Loosen the clamp arm on the quick release adapter, place the camera on top, and close the clamp arm. Ensure it is secure before moving on. Next, power up the camera by pressing the power button for 2 seconds. The Matterport logo will appear. Follow directions in the app to connect to the camera.
When scanning new locations, grab the tripod with 2 hands and be mindful of any obstructions while the tripod legs are extended. After placing the camera, check the bubble level and adjust the legs of the tripod as needed. Make sure the camera is also stable before starting a scan. The rotation of the camera on the tripod when unlevel can cause the camera to tip over. Also make sure there's enough room for the camera to easily rotate without hitting anything. The camera should be placed about 5 to 7 feet between scans. Before running a scan, find a place where you'll be out of view of the camera. If necessary, you can rotate with the camera to avoid being in the scan if there are no places to hide. A best practice is to walk the area before the scans to check spatial issues and to create a game plan for the flow of the placement. After running a scan, the camera will align with previous scans. If there aren't enough data points between the scans, the next scan will not align or mesh appropriately. Delete the scan and reposition the camera to better align with the previous scan. Scanning distances can increase in larger open areas or decrease in more complex, tighter areas. Tighter spaces or heavily detailed locations will require shorter distances and more scans to prevent dithering. Dithering is when there is incomplete data between scans, but will only show on the app in an overview of the room. It'll show as block specks as if the image is buffering. This can happen to objects, preventing the camera from getting the appropriate angles or the distance is too great between scans. After checking how the scan looks, if dithering is noticed, delete the scan and reposition the camera to capture the missing data points. If dithering is noticed prior to leaving the site, you can do an additional scan to fill in the data, but this may disrupt the flow of the space when uploaded. When going through a doorway, place the camera about 2 to 3 feet before the threshold, and the next scan should be 2 to 3 feet after the threshold. You'll need to adjust the tripod to clear through the doorways to avoid damaging anything. In hallways, you'll need to adjust the distance to about 5 feet between placement to gather all the data. It's a best practice to take additional scans as needed, as they can be hidden later rather than to have missing data because of scanning distances. Larger open rooms can have a longer distance between scans. Best practice is about 7 feet but can be extended. Just be mindful of dithering between scans. Also, game plan overlooked areas that may need details like complex ceilings. Be mindful of placements between trusses, as they can block key details needed later. Dithering will not be evident during the time, since it is only showing the layout overview, so be mindful of that placement. Those will require shorter distances to capture the data. If a door is typically closed but requires data, prop the door open using a doorstop or one of the wedges. If possible, prop the door fully to scan about 2 to 3 feet before the doorway, then 2 to 3 feet after the doorway, and one with the door closed. If not, prop the door about 45 degrees. Make sure to scan about 2 to 3 feet on either side of the door. For windows and mirrors, select the Tools option on the Capture app and select whether you are marking a window or mirror. Mirrors and reflective surfaces will cause the app to think there's an extra room behind the mirror. This will create issues for areas behind that section, and the camera will not be able to align appropriately. Windows should be marked as well, otherwise the dollhouse view will create a hole in the view. You can also trim any unwanted viewing angles to create a cleaner dollhouse view. It's best to add these features after a scan, but if it's not noticed until after a space is uploaded, you can go back in the app and add them and re-upload the walkthrough. Between scans, continually check for any dithering and make sure to place the camera to fill in the gaps. After a scan is completed, you can tap on the scan to preview how the scan looks. This can be used to check for any missing areas and ensuring there's nothing visible in the scan that you don't want visible. From there, you can delete a scan if needed and retake. Always start on the lower landing of a staircase and move up. Orient the tripod with 2 of the feet on the lower stair and 1 upper stair. This will provide more balance to the camera as it rotates. Always ensure the camera is level prior to starting a scan, especially upstairs, to prevent it from falling over. Move up about 2 to 3 steps at a time. After getting to the top of the staircase, add a level for the next floor. Any unwanted spaces can be trimmed out with a cut line to hide the view in the models. Add these markings from the same place as windows and mirrors. This can help hide areas that should not be publicly viewable. Before uploading the scan, do final checks and edits of the space. Make sure windows, doors, and cuts are placed. Preview the scans to ensure quality. Add scans if needed where items are missed. When you upload files to Matterport, scans can take several hours to days to process before you are notified. After the file is processed, you will receive a notification that the digital twin has been created and is ready for viewing. After this point, you cannot add scans to a project, but you can always hide scans. Don't be afraid to take more scans if you feel it's necessary.
Before packing up, inventory your items again. 2 door wedges, international adapters, and the magnetic lens cap, which should be installed on the camera at this time. Carefully open the latch arm on the tripod adapter and lift the camera off the tripod. Remove the battery and ensure that both batteries are in place in the case. Place the camera in its case with the red strap end visible. Close the camera case and place it into the larger flight box. Remove the tripod adapter and pack up the tripod and tripod dolly. Close the flight case and ensure both latches are secure.
This concludes the Rogue Matterport training. The next steps are to complete the quiz on Smart Sheets and be sure to download the Matterport Capture app to run the office test scan.